Today was a mixture of emotional testimony from survivors on the bus of the night of that shooting and family members of the victims, and also an expert witness for the defense who gave his rationale for what he believes is why Chris Jones did what he did. The first person we heard from this morning was the teacher that actually organized the field trip where this all happened, and she described it as such that, quote, "It was a beautiful day until tragedy, and that it was unrecognizable to me, the level of evil at that moment." Now, we also heard from one of Jones's friends who was on the trip. It also described how his demeanor changed from when she first met him in the summer of 2022 to a time when she described someone who was paranoid and worried that people were out to get him, one of those people being a mutual friend that Jones has actually had a relationship with and who he thought was not going to be on that trip. Now, the majority of the testimony today, though, was from a forensic psychologist for the defense who offered his analysis of Jones, and he said that Jones's traumatic childhood formed a basis for what he called his distorted perception of reality that grew as he got older. He said Jones had a tendency to perceive threats and dangers when none existed, and he relayed what Jones said happened that night. Again, he didn't think that the mutual friend was showing up, got anxious when he saw her, and then when he saw the 5 football players who were also on the trip, he saw them as there to cause harm to him, that he was being set up, and apparently went back to his dorm to get his gun because of that. The psychologist then said Jones described a back and forth of his mind of whether to leave things be, to kill himself, or to shoot the men, and finishing that there was a loop in his brain of do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it, before what he said he just shot impulsively. The psychologist said in his expert opinion, while Jones did not suffer from schizophrenia, he did say he had a serious mental illness that distorted his reasoning and ability to determine what's real. Now, on cross-examination, prosecutors really tried to question his analysis of Jones and pointed out that many people have similar symptoms and experiences of Jones, but they don't go out and commit a triple murder. The prosecution is expected to have their own expert witness tomorrow before closing arguments and expecting to get a sentencing ruling from the judge. In Albemarle County, Cameron Thompson, CBS 6 News.